shortest event on the outdoor athletics program, the 100 meters is always among the most prestigious titles in track and field, and the holder of a global 100 meter crown is often regarded in reverential terms as the fastest human on earth. Over the years, some outstanding 100 meter runners have occupied that mantle after their achievements at the World Athletics Championships. So let's take a moment now to look back at some of the top 100 meter men who have been crowned champions at IAAF World Championships. Number 5. Kim Collins. At the 2003 World Championships in Paris, Kim Collins arrived as his country's only male athlete. At the conclusion of the 100 meter final, he left as his nation's first ever World Athletics champion. Collins already had the distinction of being the first ever medalist from St. Kitts and Nevis at a World Championships when he finished equal third over 200 meters to bag a bronze at the 2001 event in Edmonton. Having been a 100 meter finalist at the Sydney Olympics and the reigning Commonwealth Games 100 meter champion, Collins was certainly a significant factor on the international sprint scene. But his victory in Paris still came as something of a surprise. Collins had been described as a dark horse for the title by some aficionados, including Donovan Bailey. Warming to the theme, Collins contacted his kit manufacturer and asked whether they could make him a dark suit for the championships. Lining up for the final in lane 1, away from the favourites and the pressure in lanes 4, 5 and 6, Collins got a brilliant start and led to 60 metres. But the rest of the field closed quickly and a wave of athletes crossed the finish line together in a thrilling photo finish. Collins was declared as the winner in a time of 10.07 seconds, the slowest winning time since the inaugural World Championships in 1983, but in the closest ever finish to a global 100 meter final, just 11/1000th of a second covering the first three. Collins made the podium once again in 2005 when he claimed a bronze medal in Helsinki, a feat he repeated in Daegu in 2011, a testimony to his remarkable longevity as an elite sprinter. Number 4. Donovan Bailey. Donovan Bailey's rise to the pinnacle of 100 meter sprinting followed a less than conventional route. Born in Manchester, Jamaica, Bailey was immersed in the nation's obsession with sprinting from the age of 5. But upon moving to Canada at 13, other interests away from track and field also occupied his time. He played high school basketball, and upon graduating from university, Bailey was a stockbroker and entrepreneur, finally swapping the number crunching of corporate Canada for the stopwatch of the athletics track in the early 1990s. After making the 93 World Championships as a member of Canada's relay squad, Bailey moved to Baton Rouge, Louisiana to train under the tutelage of Dan Pfaff. He made rapid progress, moving from 10.03 to a national record of 9.91 at the Canadian National Championships in 1995. In the 1995 World Championship 100 meter final in Gothenburg, Bailey lined up in lane 5 but didn't get away well. It was Atto Bolden who'd established an early lead, but Bailey produced what the world would come to know as his trademark, a dramatic mid-race surge that proved to be decisive. Bailey continued to pull away all the way through the finish line, taking World Championship gold in a time of 9.97 seconds. Bailey would go on to take Olympic gold the following year in a time of 9.84 seconds, a world record that would stand for almost 3 years. He made the World Championship 100 meter podium again in 1997, claiming silver in Athens behind Maurice Greene. Number 3. Maurice Greene. At his first World Championships in Gothenburg 1995, Maurice Greene was eliminated at the quarter-final stage. The following year, he failed to make the USA's Olympic team for the 1996 Games. But these initial learning experiences proved to be part of the foundation for a period of utter dominance for the man nicknamed the Kansas Cannonball. Starting at the 1997 World Championships in Athens, where he dethroned defending champion Donovan Bailey, Greene controlled the 100 meter world title, claiming 3 consecutive World Championship crowns. During this span, he also set a world record of 9.79 seconds and took Olympic gold in the 100 meters in Sydney. At World Championships, Greene was at his most dominant in Seville 1999. Despite a poor start, the compact American powered his way to the second fastest time in history, stopping the clock in 9.80 seconds and holding off a strong challenge from Canada's Bruni Serin to set a new championship record. He joined Carl Lewis as the only man to successfully retain a 100 meter world title. Greene then further emulated Lewis by making it 3 consecutive world titles when he won again in Edmonton 2 years later. In stark contrast to the dominance shown in Seville, Greene demonstrated immense desire and battling qualities in taking World Championship gold for the 3rd time. Greene lined up for the final with a black strapping beneath his left knee. Despite this, he started brilliantly and appeared to be racing to a dominant win. 15 meters from the finish line, however, Greene tightened up and practically hobbled over the line. But he still managed to hold off the rest of his rivals and clocked 9.82 seconds, the 3rd fastest time ever, and a mark that only he had bettered. Number 2. Carl Lewis. With a burgeoning medal haul of 9 Olympic and 8 world titles, America's Carl Lewis is widely regarded as one of the greatest athletes of all time. His exploits over 100 meters, 200 meters and the long jump are firmly etched into track and field folklore, and from the early 1980s he dominated the athletics landscape for over a decade with his performances and personality. Following the US boycott of the 1980 Olympics in Moscow, Lewis's first global competition was the inaugural IAAF World Championships in Helsinki in 1983. At just 22 years of age, Lewis had recorded the best ever sea level times for both the 100 and 200 meters earlier that summer. The final also featured newly crowned world record holder Calvin Smith. Still, Lewis was installed as a serious contender for World Championship gold. But it was the 3rd American, Emmett King, who got the best start in the final, and he led at 60 meters. But Lewis demonstrated what would become a familiar pattern: cool-headed patience and a decisive late surge to overhaul the rest of the field. His winning time was rounded up to 10.07 seconds, leading an American clean sweep to claim the 100-meter world title. Lewis retained his crown in Rome 4 years later, and then in Tokyo 1991, Lewis was the main protagonist in the greatest 100-meter race ever seen. Lewis entered as the reigning Olympic champion, but had lost his world record to his compatriot Leroy Burrell, who set a time of 9.90 seconds at the US Championships just 2 months before the World Champs in Japan. The semi-finals indicated that something special might be on the cards, as Lewis won his in 9.93, while Burrell clocked 9.94 in his semi, making them the fastest preliminaries in history. The diminutive Dennis Mitchell made the best start in the final, then Burrell moved into the lead at halfway and appeared to be headed for gold, only to be passed at 90 meters by Lewis's spectacular late burst. Lewis claimed his 3rd world title in a world record time of 9.86 seconds. Burrell won silver and was also inside the old world record, while Mitchell became the 3rd fastest man in history to claim bronze. It was the 2nd US clean sweep in World Championship 100-meter finals, and each one was headed by Lewis, cementing his reputation as one of the greatest sprinters of all time. Number 1. Usain Bolt. With 11 World Championship gold medals, Jamaica's Usain Bolt stands alone as the most decorated sprinter in the history of track and field. All but 4 of Bolt's World Championship golds have come in individual events, and 3 of those titles have come in the 100 meters. The only World Championship 100-meter final featuring Bolt that he hasn't won was in Daegu 2011, when he false started and was disqualified. But when Bolt makes the finish line in a World Championship 100-meter final, he invariably breaks the tape in first place, with the rest of the finalists trailing behind. This was never more apparent than in Bolt's first appearance in a 100-meter final in Berlin 2009. Bolt was already the Olympic champion and world record holder after his extraordinary display at the Bird's Nest Stadium the year before, when he became the first man to break 9.7 seconds for the 100 meters en route to Olympic gold. After false starting in the semi, Bolt started the Berlin final well and built a slender lead at the 20-meter mark. What followed was a demonstration of speed and power that left his rivals battling for the minor places. Bolt claimed his first 100-meter world title in a time of 9.58 seconds, shaving a massive 0.11 seconds off his own personal best, the biggest chunk off a 100-meter world record since electronic timing was introduced. Bolt would go on to regain his title in 2013 in Moscow before successfully defending it in Beijing 2 years later. Whether demolishing his rivals with dominant displays such as in 2009 or battling his way to victory when not fully fit as in 2015, Bolt has repeatedly proved that he's capable of winning in all circumstances, making him a truly complete champion. We hope you've enjoyed our look back at these top moments. What do you think? Let us know your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more great athletics content and visit IAAF.org for the latest news, updates and information from the world of athletics.